Okay, thank you, and welcome to Ham Radio 2023. And it's been quite the year. But anyway, I'm Tom, KA2D, and again, this is a revamp of overview of ham radio logging programs. And basically, what's going on here is, well, I gotta back up. Here we go. Why isn't this going the right way? All right, anyway. What we're going to discuss today is in general, because everybody has their own version of logging programs, and that's what we're going to do. So basically, every logging program needs certain information, and I'm just trying to clear some stuff on my screen. You got to forgive me here. Okay, here we go. Okay. So basically, everybody, this is general, and again, mainly for the newbies. The information that you need in the log is the date, the time, call sign, so on and so forth. And every logging program will prompt you for this information. And so that's what's going on there. And excuse me, there we go. So back in the day, when us old guys first got licensed, you had to keep a log, and it was on paper, whether you used on a notebook, a spreadsheet. This is the traditional, what everybody started out with from the ARRL, but there was many different versions from other sources, but basically it's the same thing. And again, same information, date, time, frequency, mode, what power, your call sign, and so on and so forth, all the information, whether you sent the card or not, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we all started out with. And then, of course, computer logging came out in the beginning, of course, very simple DOS programs, but they're very widely available. Like I say, computer logging programs are definitely configurable and can keep track of all kinds of information. They're all data control kind of stuff. And the nice thing about a computer log is that it automatically log the date, the time, and so on and so forth, rather than back in the day on your desk, you had UTC time conversion, you had a chart of all the different time zones of the world, beam headings, all kinds of information, all spread out on your desk. And of course, you had the visible clock with the date and the time on it. And everything was done manually. So along came computers, and the advantage of the log, it does all of that background information, record keeping automatically once you have it set up. It's nice to track QSL sent and received. For instance, when you get an envelope or card, say from last year, okay? With a paper log, you just got to keep scrolling back till you find it. With a computer log, you do the search on your program, and you fill in the information and put it in the envelope and bring it to the mailbox, or upload it to the various QSL services, Logbook of the World, Club Log, EQSL, QRZ, and some of the online QSL services that are available in this day and age, where you just send a file to a printer and he prints out the card with the information and distributes to the various QSL bureaus around the world. Here's a list of some of the popular programs. And again, this was gleaned from EHAM reviews and by my own personal involvement with our personal club people. It's amateur radio contact log, N3 FJP. It's easy to use. It's well written. It's a nice program. My only caveat on that, it looks more like a DOS program for people, but it's really very simple to set up, and it has all the features that you need that we'll mention later on. DX Lab is an integrated suite of programs, which has more than a logging program. It's propagation and all kinds of other tools, but it has a great logging window, again, with all the stuff that we'll mention again. Another popular one is Log40M. Again, a complete logging program. Logger 32 has a nice thing. The one I've been using since way back in the mid 90s is DX for Win. It's a commercial program. You need to purchase a license for that. Then there's Ham Radio Deluxe, which used to be free, but is now need to purchase a license. A lot of the satellite people like that program. It does have a really nice integrated digital program, and it has decent support. Many of the programs, along with details, links, and review, like I said, is on HEHAM in the reviews, and see amateur radio logging programs. And you know, you can, you know, as you go and look at what the features are, you can click and do, and some have trials, you know, that you could sit and log a few QSOs. It won't save them, but it'll give you an idea of exactly how they work, and if you like it or you don't like it. Every program, of course, needs to be set up, like I mentioned before, with all your personal information. And the newer radios with the USB codecs could be a little hard to set up or difficult, but there's enough information on how to get it going that you can do that. And the reason you do that is, which we'll mention before, is that, again, you type in a call sign, you can go out on QRZ or some other call book server, and it'll give you all the information on the individual. And it makes life much simpler. So sorry for the display, but anyway, this is what you might see in a typical logging program. You know, the upper left corner is the actual logging window, which has the information where you input the information, and all the rest is support information. This one seems to be connected to the DX spotting network that's worldwide, and it just gives you, all this information at your fingertips without searching for pieces of paper, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the advantage of the tools that most of actually all the online logging programs use. This is image from DX Keeper, which is part of the DX Lab suite. And again, a typical window for most of the logging programs of awards tracking. So whatever awards you're looking for, it's again at your fingertips without looking for a lot of different information, pieces of paper, booklets, or scraps of paper. And this is what a typical logging input window looks like. Will be a call, signal, name, QTH, all the general information that you would need for your own information, and some of them even have some pretty neat ways of adding a note or a comment, so on and so forth. Look up, you hook it up to any one of the call sign servers, and it'll do that. This is a look of when you're connected to a DX spotting cluster, okay? It'll link to your program and alert you to, I need the VK1 on 21 sideband, or you need the ZL on 10 meters, and so on and so forth. Again, back in the day, we had one ringers you joined the DX club, and different guys were assigned different bands to listen to at different times of the day, and you had a list with your DX club of what you need, et cetera, et cetera. And somebody would ring your phone and you'd go up on a repeater and so on and so forth. And this was all done before the internet and these spotting clusters, which give you all kinds of information. And again, when you have it linked to your logging program, you click on that call sign and it populates your logging program. And again, if it's connected to your radio, it'll change the frequency and band, which again is a nice feature. This is one of the windows, okay, that you would click on, and as you see on the right side, you can select it by band and so on and so forth. There's a lot of ways that you can filter what you want to hear or see or whatever. You know, say you don't have 160, you unclick that, or you don't have the walk bands, you unclick that. So it'll make things much simpler. Again, as I've been running through the features, these are common to all of the programs. You know, ease of record keeping, QSL sent and received, and so on. You can search. For instance, you know, if you work me more than once, if you type KA2D in your program, it'll also list all the contacts that we had previous to the current one. What's also nice when you get those nice envelopes from your local QSL service, you can just search each call sign instead of going through a logbook page after page after page, especially stuff that you get back that could be 1 to 3 years old. So award tracking, again, you set your program up to your various awards that you like to track, and it's easier to keep record keeping of that just for that one particular thing at that particular time. Import and exporting. Basically, the Logbook of the World, QRZ, EQSL, Club Log, and any of the online QSL services, like I mentioned. You can import contacts from all the various types of programs, your WSJT, meaning FT8, FT4, and all the other digital modes that you prefer to operate. Yeah, and you can print labels and cards and so on like that. So in a conclusion for now, I always want to mention this. There's daily logging programs and there's contest loggers. They're somewhat interchangeable, meaning you could use a daily logger in a contest and a contest logger for daily logging. The big but. If you're operating in a contest, the daily logger will not keep score, show dupes, meaning that if you want to work, you know, the same station, it'll alert you that you already worked them. So you don't want to waste a guy's time on the other end. And the contest logger will create the proper report for submission for the contest sponsor if you want to submit your score. And alternately, the contest logger won't track QSL and awards. So there's the two big buts, okay? And you can, you know, take it as you like to see. A lot of people still do their daily logging on like N1MM, which is a nice free program, but that's the problem with QSLing and award. You have to start another program to track that kind of stuff. So my advice, you use them as attended, and after a contest, I do it. I import the contest log into my daily logger, which is DX for Win, and all the computer loggers can import it or export using the ADIF file format, which is a text file, which you can edit and read in your notebook or whatever text editor you'd like to read on your machine. And that's the amateur data interchange format. And always remember to back up your log. Very, very, very important. Okay, what I'm going to try to do now is bring up my particular program, and hopefully you can see this. This is my DX for Win. On the right-hand side is the window for inputting your log. What you see over on a big window, I'll minimize this guy, is the DX spotting cluster. Okay, so this will alert me. You see that I have, well, you got a Russian again on 80 meters at a particular time, and you're not going to work them. But just in case, if I double click on that, it QSYs my radio and puts all that input in there, which is great. Okay. If I need to search for a call, we'll use George. And there we go. There we go. And of course, we're all contest guys. So this lists all the times that I've worked them, and very simple to look up anybody's call. Just to show you in the reports, this will be, I want to look up a DX report, etc., my award. You click on OK, and this brings up the metrics for what you have worked, confirmed, submitted for awards. Very, very, very simple stuff. So again, the advantages of logging programs. What else? On Logbook of the World, you can automatically or upload or download stuff. I choose to do it manually because I'm anal, but that's really about it. But this is a basic of typical logging program. Has various windows. Okay, gives you sunrise, sunset of calls. You can have links to digital programs, CW, RTTY, amongst other things. So that's basically in a nutshell. And I know we have plenty of time. I'm trying to find my time. My eyes are pretty bad. So we can start a Q&A for now. And here we go. Is there any questions that anybody has?
Okay, so I'm going to come in.
Yeah, go ahead, George.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm George, N2GA. There's a questions tab on your control panel. If you click the arrow on the left of the word questions, it will open the tab and you can ask a question. Okay, so the first question, Tom, is, are any of these programs compatible with Macs?
Yes. I'm a PC user, but if you go to the eHAM reviews and you click on particular programs, or even if you Google search ham radio logging programs for Mac, it'll come up with a number of choices. And again, you have to go through them. Some of them are quite good, and some of them are so on, but you have to experiment with that. And unfortunately, I haven't really sat down in front of a Mac to give you like a suggestion of what works. I know a lot of the POTA guys use this ham RS program that I know is compatible with Mac, but it's a very simple program and basically really kind of oriented to remote operating. Like if you go to a park or you go you know, on any kind of special thing, but it's not really for, I would call a main logging program with all the features of awards and things like that. So hopefully that answers. I know it's not a complete answer, but unfortunately, like I said, I'm not really. I never really sat in front of a Mac with the logging program.
Okay, let's say you were operating in a park using one of these ham RS loggers. What would you have to do to get that information into your general logging program?
Uh, like all programs, it'll export to an ADIF file. So you would export from the ham RS program, save the file. For instance, the best way to save a file would be if you were at park 2078 dot and the date. I always do like, it would be like 230107, and it'll save it as an ADI file, and which you can open it up with any text editor and import it to any of the major logging programs. Not to mention, not to mention upload it to the POTA organizers.
Okay, could you provide us an example of QSL information that was, let's say, submitted and not yet received? Does it do stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, we can go back to this. Okay, let's see here. You'll see down here, most programs will have a QSL information received or not received. Let's see if I can back up to some of my last. So basically, you can, for instance, check a QSL job. I'm just trying to, I guess I'll try to use you, George. I don't think we exchanged cards, but I know we did a lot of Logbook of the World stuff. So down here, you will see that we have, I've uploaded Logbook of the World, and that's the date. So it's already confirmed, but up here again, it brings up on confirmed. The first confirm would be for a card. The second one would be for Logbook of the World on my setup. Okay, that's something that you would configure, but that's how simple it is to track QSLs, which again, whether it's for personal or whatever, that's what you would want to do in a logging program. I'll keep this open, I guess, for any other questions.
Yeah, let's say that you've worked somebody and you sent the QSL. How could you tell the people that you sent QSLs to but are not confirmed, like in a report, a list of the people? Do you have that option?
Yeah, what you would do, again, let's see if we can go this way.
Is there a report that does that?
Yeah,
Like a
for
list?
instance, we would say not confirmed, and we'll just say from a bureau, hit enter, and we go and open up your logbook, and of course, here I just got to move the screen over, and it'll actually list in the report. And again, all the logging programs do have a report editor, and it'll list all the people that you may contact that you don't have confirmed by bureau. Okay, so it says like my TI9X got confirmed by Logbook of the World, but I don't have a card for it. So
Can you sort that? Can you sort that by country?
Probably not to my knowledge, but you might be able to do it in in any of the search engines. For instance, you could go to a prefix, bring up a prefix list. Here we go. And say, we'll just pick Afghanistan, for instance. Okay. And do the same thing, that either confirmed or not. We'll say we confirmed it, and we'll see about direct. You hit enter, okay, and then you go to the logbook window, and I have one, okay, that's confirmed with a card.
Okay. We do have a couple of other questions from other people.
All right, I'm ready.
How do you pick whether to validate contacts on EQSL or Logbook of the World?
Oh, I just knocked over my microphone. Okay, on EQSL, I'm not really that adept at it, but there is a lot of help on that. Basically, you'd sign into your account, and you would go to your inbox, and it's sorted by dates or countries, and then you'd have to open that up and basically, for instance, if you made a contact with me on EQSL and you wanted to confirm it, you would search for KA2D. It would list the contacts that we made. You would click to confirm. It usually sends the other person an email, and that email would log into his EQSL account and confirm that the contact is valid. On Logbook of the World, from your logging program, okay, again, I'm going to use George. You can, the thing with Logbook of the World from all of the logging programs is you can upload each time you make a contact, you can upload it automatically to Logbook of the World, okay? Or in my case, I wait till the end of the week and upload a whole load of them. So then you would log on to your Logbook of the World account, click on current QSLs, okay, and it'll list all the different things. And let's see if we can have enough room to go there. Okay. All right. All right. So you would go to your QSO. You would click on most recent that you haven't downloaded into your logging program. And as you can see, what would happen is over here you would go to download report. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to mess up, but you would go to download report. You would use the filters. Okay, and this is the ADI file that you would download into your machine and upload it or download it to your logging program, and that's done. And it'll populate in your logging program. It'll say that contact with N2GA at so and so is confirmed. On Logbook the World again, you have your accounts that are done, and this is the matrix of all the different bands and modes to keep track of your awards for that. And you have your worked all states accounts, again, to keep track of your awards. Someday I'll get Alaska on 160, but maybe not in my lifetime with my small lot. But these are all the information that is available in logging and tracking QSLs and things like that. So again, very interesting and time saving. For instance, I haven't been really active as a contester in a few years, but back in 2011 and prior to that, I used to receive probably just before the holidays, maybe 2,600 QSL cards via the Bureau. Okay, which is those that are in, in the New York metropolitan area. We used the North Jersey DXA, and at the time I was off that week between Christmas and New Year's, and I used to spend most of my time printing my own QSL cards, answering the request from the Bureau, and it was a big task. And then I discovered these online QSL services where on my logging program, basically all you do is tag it, each contact that you want to confirm, and send a service like there's a Spanish, I forget what it is, DQRS, and they send an ADI file, and that service, you go to that service, it's not free, but you can design your own two-sided color QSL card, upload your ADI file, pay the fee, which is basically the same as if you bought colored two-sided color print QSL cards, and they will mail those to the various bureaus worldwide. Done. So instead of taking, say again.
We have a couple other questions.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So, what logging program would you recommend for someone that's running a net?
What's the name? Oh boy. There is NetLogger. Okay, is a free program. It's used by various groups to run 5, 6 people up to a couple of hundred people. Okay, it's a web-based service, and it'll keep track of all the people that log in, comments, etc., and look up NetLogger for the details. The Breakfast Club on 3838 in the mornings out of New York, they use it. That's why I'm familiar with that. Once in a while I check in with those guys, or just listen. So you can log in to get on the list, or you can just put, SWL or something like that, and it has full comments and so on and so forth, exchanging files. It's a really great program.
Okay, next question. Any thoughts on the logging program that works best with remote radios, such as remote hams or remote ham radio?
I believe any of these programs would work with that. It doesn't matter, as long as you have the correct link to the connection that you're working, whether it's outside DX cluster or remote logger. All of these current logging programs work with that.
Okay. Now, Logbook of the World is valid for ARL awards, but not EQSL, right?
Exactly. EQSL has its own award matrix as QRZ and a couple of the other programs. Unfortunately, they're not acceptable to the ARRL DXCC awards or WAS, which currently are the gold standards, they call it. And the reason they don't allow EQSL or any of the other ones is basically for security. For instance, on EQSL, you can download the card and with a editor, change information. So that's why they disallowed it almost from the very, very beginning.
What about CQ awards? Does Logbook of the World do those?
Yes, it does. I think WAS and worked all continents, I believe. And they're working on some other ones to integrate. They keep coming up with stuff, but they really haven't how you call confirmed them yet.
Okay. What's the benefit to manual uploads as opposed to automatic uploads?
I preferred the manual uploads and downloads, mainly because I'm anal, but it's easier to keep track. For instance, when I upload, I always upload to, I have a repository on my computer that, again, for instance, if I finished the day of operating, okay, I would upload and then I would make a file, which would be, which what I would call, and I do it by the date, 23/01/07.ADI, okay, and then I manually upload that to Logbook of the World or Club Log or wherever it needs to go. And for instance, when I wanted to download the ADI file from Logbook of the World, I would also save it to my download folder with a date, you know, I just call it log confirm dot and a date before I upload it. And the reason I do that is it's easy to keep track. If you ever lose something, you got to back up, or you have to redo your log, or some information is not quite correct, and it's hard to correct stuff that's been downloaded from somewhere else. So that's why I do it. And that's from an old habit from logging since what, 19, middle 80s, on kind of clunking computers. But so that's why I do it that way.
Okay, there are a couple of more questions. Why would you upload to Logbook of the World and not just use the logbook of the world to do the original log?
That's a good question, because a lot of people, how you call, use the Logbook of the World log as their log. Okay. If you read some of the instructions from Logbook of the World, it kind of advises not to do that. Some of the reasons are, but I know a lot of people that do that, and it works well for them. So whatever works for you is fine. That's the whole object of all of this stuff. Is there's many different ways to attain what you actually need, or what you want, what's good for you, how it works. So again, because I'm an avid DXer and chase parks and islands and countries and that, so I like my logbook. And again, because I was, how you call, weaned on that particular thing. I know a lot of the newer people think it's much simpler just to keep track, just the Logbook of the World. And like Popeye says, you pays your money and takes your choice.
Okay, is the spotting program that you're showing part of DX4Win, or is it a separate standalone spotting program?
Well, no, it's part of the X for Win, and you have it's part of all the logging programs. But what you're doing is you're actually going outside of the actual logging program and connecting to various clusters all around the world. I'm trying to think of a great example to categorize that. It's like looking up a call on QRZ.com. You're going out on the internet and going somewhere else, but it's linked by your preferences to your logging program.
You have to use the DX spotting service integrated into the logging program, is what you're saying.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Can you talk about Club Log?
All right, Club Log is a service that's made by volunteers, et cetera, and it allows the DX stations from around the world that also subscribe to Club Log. I'll give an example. This month, there's going to be in the next few weeks a DXpedition going to Bouvet Island, which is one of the Antarctic islands. And what'll happen is, hopefully, they'll have enough internet link that once you make a QSO with them, you can go to Club Log and check if you're in the log. You can request QSL cards, which is nice, without, again, printing your card, mailing it, and so on and so forth. On Club Log, for instance, again, I'll use George. You know, George is a member, and so you go to Club Log, you look up N2GA, you type in your call. It lists all the contacts that you made with that particular operation. You can request a QSL, use PayPal, credit card, whatever, for whatever fees that they request. And then in a matter of time, you'll get your QSL card in the mail. Okay, or if and it'll also eventually upload the Logbook of the World. So that's the purpose of Club Log. It's a really great service.
Okay, with regards to the remote radios, you said that all the loggers will do. Can they do band control and keying the remote radios through the web?
No, I'm not sure because I don't use remote, but it's possible, again, that if you have all your stuff integrated between the spotting cluster, the remote radio control, for instance, if you click on one of the calls, it would QSY the remote radio service to that particular band and mode. And once you make contact, you log it in your logging program. The remote, from what my understanding, I don't use it, but my understanding, it's like being in front of a radio.
Okay. One person is suggesting that Logbook of the World is not a logging program, that you can edit.
Yeah, it's not. It's a repository to store a log. That's all it is. It's not a standalone logging program like the ones that I mentioned.
Okay.
All it is a QSL repository. Keeps track of records only.
Right, and normally you would want to log in one of these logging programs and then either automatically or manually upload to Logbook of the World, which will then retain all of the QSOs from all of the users that uploaded to it and automatically match them together to create that QSL.
Correct, yes. Like I said, it's a QSL or QSL repository. It's just a record-keeping service. It cannot be edited once it's uploaded or downloaded. Well, once you can download, but basically that's the object of Logbook of the World. It's just a repository.
Right, and to automatically update your logging program, if you download the QSLs from Logbook of the World, you can then import them into your logging program, so your logging program can keep track of which contacts are confirmed and which ones are not.
Correct. It's basically, but basically Logbook of the World is will download into your logging program. So those records that we downloaded, say like today, would automatically populate your logging program. Be sure to save it. I always save stuff. And that's it. Now you have a permanent record of the QSLs received from Logbook of the World, or EQSL or QRZ or whatever, however you want to track.
Okay, great. Now, are there any other features of these logging programs that are new or useful that people should be aware of?
Other than the other than the automatic uploads to the different repositories, that's basically about it. Some of them have features if you're a satellite tracker, but the biggest I would call current uploads, which happens, it could happen once a week, it could happen a couple of times a month, is the country file, which is maintained by this guy, Jim, AD1C, who works diligently, that if, to keep track of various countries or information and so on and so forth. For instance, is when Yugoslavia broke into the various different states of Serbia and Croatia, Montenegro, and so on and so forth. This way, when you type in a call sign, it automatically linked it to the proper place in the world. So that's one of the things that, and every once in a while, new features, it'll, alert you to, for instance, calendars, uh, uh, country files, schedules, and so on and so forth. So again, most of the active programs do have updates.
Okay, terrific. What is the website again that will generate and send traditional QSL cards from an ADI file? You said it's a commercial site, correct? And you have to pay for it?
Yeah. Hang on one second now. It's in one of the slides, and there we go. And let's see here. I lost it.
I didn't see it on your slide deck.
Must be the next one up.
We'll have him send you an email to get it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's QDURE, I believe. Yeah. I was supposed to update that, but I didn't. Excuse that. Yeah, but they're great. Yeah. And let me go back. There we go. Hang on. And
All right, I'll have him send you an email to confirm it.
yeah,
This other
yeah.
person, one other question before we close, Tom. One other person says they still keep a paper log. What log book would be easy to use to replace his paper log? And he says he doesn't do DXing.
I don't know if you're a PC user, but you can just, make it from Word or Excel or even a Word editor to print it out. ARRL, of course, still sells their logbook, and I'm trying to think. I bet you if you go online, there's probably a lot of examples.
I think that's what he's asking, Tom. I think he's asking what electronic logbook would you recommend?
Any of the ones that we mentioned. It's a lot of work to go from paper to computer. It's a lot of typing. In the beginning, we spent hours and hours. We used to take a page, 2, 3, 4, depending on your typing skills. I don't quite understand the entire question now.
So, would you recommend that he starts with his current QSOs, like from this point forward, to use an existing logger?
Yes, that's basically most of the guys that converted from paper. I'll give an example. Mark, WB2QJY, is now WB2QJ, has been licensed since he's 13. And probably like 5 years ago, he had 100 and something ARRL logbooks. And he decided to computer log. And basically that's what we advise him to do, to start from the current and work backwards.
Yeah, one of these other fellows is suggesting that N3FJP is probably a good basic one for a casual operator.
Yeah,
Good
a lot.
idea for this guy.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that and that has a really good support, and and all these programs, by the way, can be. You don't have to have all the different modules going on. You can just have just the logging window. Period. You don't have to have all that extraneous stuff. And
And then
yeah,
when he has time, he could go back and enter
yes,
his old contacts.
yeah, absolutely, yes,
And that way he'll get used to using the logger. And if he likes it, he can do. If he
right,
doesn't like it, he could try something else.
yeah.
Okay,
That's
that's
that.
all the questions we
All right,
have.
good,
You want to finish
good.
up?
Yeah, good questions, and they're all good. And if anybody has any personal questions or anything, you see my email address is there, and I'm mostly current, and I'll answer you within 24 or 48 hours at most, whatever's going on over here. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully we gave you some information. I know it's very broad, but that's what it's was designed to do. There is just too much stuff, and again, between Google and YouTube, there's a lot of different examples, and you can really fill up your brain with all this stuff. But again, uh, once you start doing it, it's really good, and it depends on your computer skills on how deep you want to get into it. Basically, when I'm active, on the days that I like to go play radio, I log on to the DX cluster and bring up my logbook, and basically that's how I operate. Whether it's casual, chasing parks, chasing red DX, or any casual DX, going on FT8 or FT4, and all the stuff that you basically that you do on the radio. So I'll say I'm looking at for the clock here. I'll say 7-3, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Bye bye.